On the evening of October 7, 2019 in Cape Coral, Florida. The streets were quiet, the soft hum of traffic blending with the occasional bark of a dog. Most residents were going about their lives, unaware of the tragedy that was quietly unfolding in their midst. Two women, living ordinary lives, would soon cross paths with a man who appeared harmless, polite, approachable, and even charming. To the world, he seemed ordinary, friendly, perhaps even trustworthy. But beneath that exterior, a darkness was preparing to emerge. Kristine Melton, 35, was at home, completing her evening routines. Diane Ruiz, 43, was elsewhere in the city, going about her normal activities. Both women had no reason to expect that someone they had never fully known would change the course of their lives forever. What happened that night was not sudden or chaotic. It was deliberate, preceded by choices, intentions, and actions that, in retrospect, left a trail of evidence pointing to a man who had meticulously planned his moves. Cape Coral would later come to know his name: Wade Stephen Wilson. And the calm streets, the quiet neighborhoods would never feel the same again. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, and today you are watching the case of Wade Stephen Wilson. Wade Stephen Wilson was born on May 20th, 1994, in Florida. From a young age, there were signs of both intelligence and volatility. His parents provided for him materially, but emotional guidance was inconsistent. Discipline was irregular, sometimes harsh, sometimes absent. Young Wade learned to navigate a world without clear boundaries, and the absence of structure would play a role in shaping his developing personality. Friends and neighbors would later recall a boy who could be charming, clever, and persuasive, yet prone to sudden emotional outbursts. Teachers described him as intelligent but unpredictable, the kind of student who could excel one moment and then disrupt the classroom the next. Authority frustrated him. Rules felt like challenges to be tested. By adolescence, small red flags had begun to emerge. Minor thefts, petty vandalism, and occasional fights with peers hinted at a growing disregard for rules and consequences. Yet, to adults and authorities, these acts seemed typical teenage rebellion, easily dismissed and overlooked. Wade's relationships with girls during his teenage years were also marked by troubling patterns. Friends described him as possessive, controlling, and quick to anger when rejected. Even small disagreements could escalate into emotional manipulation or aggressive behavior. By his late teens, the combination of impulsivity, aggression, and charm created a dangerous mix. In the mid-2000s, Wade's criminal record began to grow. Arrests for theft, burglary, and firearm possession were documented, but interventions that might have redirected him were either minimal or ineffective. Warning signs, though present, went largely unheeded. Psychologists who later examined Wade's history noted that he had suffered multiple head injuries as a child, concussions and blows to the skull that could impact impulse control, decision-making, and emotional regulation. Combined with his innate temperament, these injuries may have contributed to his capacity for extreme violence in adulthood. In early 2019, a woman named Kelly Matthews accused Wade of sexual assault, claiming he had choked her during an encounter.
I went to the driver's side window. He wrote it down. I said, "Where are my keys? Where's my car?" He was calm and just saying, get in the car, and it escalated quickly.
Did you agree to get in the car?
No.
And when you would not agree to get in the car, how did he act?
Violent, aggressive, tried to pull me in the car physically, and I resisted, got plank style so that he could not grab me into the vehicle.
When you say you got plank style, could you just show the jurors what you mean by that?
The case never resulted in charges, highlighting systemic failures in investigating potentially dangerous individuals. These missed opportunities would be among the last warning signs before tragedy struck. To those who did not know him, Wade appeared confident, even magnetic. His tattoos, calm demeanor, and measured movements projected self-assurance. Psychologists would later describe his appeal as a form of hybristophilia, an attraction some feel toward individuals who commit violent acts. Women, in particular, were drawn to his calm, charismatic presence. Letters sent after his arrest revealing fascination and even infatuation with the man behind the murders. But behind this charm was a man obsessed with control. Friends, partners, and acquaintances described episodes of aggression, manipulation, and intimidation. In private, he was a different person entirely, calculating, cold, and capable of extreme cruelty. This duality, a friendly exterior masking a lethal interior, would define the terror he inflicted that night. First victim, Kristine Melton, 35, was a waitress who lived a life defined by routine and community. She worked long hours, cared for friends and family, and spent evenings quietly enjoying her favorite hobbies. Colleagues remembered her as warm, generous, and hardworking. Second victim, Diane Ruiz, 43, was a bartender and mother of 2. Known for her kindness and dedication, she had no reason to suspect that a man she encountered later that night would become her killer. Diane's life was ordinary, full of work, family, and friends. Her routines were simple, predictable, and safe, until the night she met Wade. On the evening of October 6, 2019, Wade Wilson met Stephanie Hodges, a woman he'd recently begun seeing. They had spent time together before, but this night Wade arrived in Cape Coral already unstable, intoxicated, unpredictable, and searching for attention. That night, Stephanie and Wade met up with Jason Shepard, an acquaintance of both, and later with Kristine Melton, Stephanie's friend. Kristine worked as a waitress and was known for being kind, welcoming, and open-hearted, someone who rarely turned anyone away. At first, the four spent time casually, drinking, talking, and listening to music. They eventually went to Jason's home, where the atmosphere was friendly but charged. Wade and Kristine seemed to connect almost instantly. Witnesses would later describe them as flirting, comfortable, and close. As the night went on, Jason and Stephanie noticed Wade and Kristine moving to another room. According to both of their testimonies later, Wade and Kristine had consensual sex inside the house. The night seemed to end on ordinary terms, no fight, no tension. Kristine decided to give Wade a ride back to his place afterward. But something shifted the moment they left Jason's house. It was now the early hours of October 7th. Cape Coral was quiet, the kind of eerie calm that hides what's about to happen. Kristine drove them to her home, unaware that Wade's demeanor had already changed. The alcohol, drugs, and underlying rage had fused into something dark, something that demanded control. When they reached Kristine's residence, the house was silent, neighbors asleep, the streets empty. She unlocked the door, letting Wade in. They talked for a few minutes, maybe laughed. There's no record of an argument. But inside that ordinary house, Wade turned. Evidence later showed that Kristine had been strangled. Not in a sudden burst of violence, but in a controlled, methodical act. Forensic investigators determined she was killed between 3:45 and 4:15 a.m. Her body bore marks of sustained pressure around the neck, suggesting Wade had used his hands, holding her down, cutting off her air as she struggled. There was no weapon, no chaos, just a chilling, intimate form of killing that showed dominance and intent. After she was dead, Wade took her car keys, her vehicle, and other small items. He left the house in her car, calm, deliberate, without rushing. Surveillance cameras later captured the vehicle leaving the area. That same morning, he called Stephanie Hodges multiple times. He told her vague, unsettling things, that he'd done something bad, that he needed to talk. Stephanie didn't understand what he meant. She thought he was high, exaggerating. By the time she realized something was wrong, Wade had already chosen his next target. Around 7 a.m., Wade was driving Kristine's stolen vehicle through Cape Coral when he encountered Diane Ruiz, a 43-year-old bartender and mother. Diane was on her way to work, walking near Vincent Boulevard. Wade stopped, offered her a ride. She accepted. Forensic evidence and witness statements later confirmed that Diane entered the car willingly. Wade appeared calm, sober, even polite, the same deceptive persona he had used the night before. Minutes later, the situation turned violent. In a secluded area off Cape Coral Parkway, Wade attacked Diane. She was strangled in the same way as Kristine, his method identical, precise, and physical. But this time, the rage didn't end there. Investigators determined that after killing her, Wade placed her body on the ground, and then ran her over multiple times with Kristine's stolen car. The tire tracks at the scene showed deliberate back-and-forth movement. This wasn't panic or accident. It was calculated cruelty. The impact left her body severely damaged, her personal belongings scattered across the roadside. Wade then drove away, leaving the car behind a nearby shopping plaza, wiping surfaces clean and removing items that could tie him to the scene. By late morning, October 7th, residents near Vincennes Boulevard noticed something unusual. A car parked strangely, a body lying near the roadside. Police arrived within minutes and sealed the area. The brutality of the scene stunned even seasoned officers. Investigators immediately began piecing together the timeline. They recovered tire impressions, DNA, and fibers linking both murders to the same vehicle, Kristine Melton's car. When police visited Kristine's home, they found her dead inside, her body still where she had fallen hours earlier. The connection was instant. Two women, both strangled, one of their cars abandoned near the other's body. Detectives launched a full-scale investigation, working backward from surveillance footage, phone pings, and witness interviews. Stephanie Hodges and Jason Shepard were both brought in for questioning. Their statements aligned. Both said that Wade and Kristine had been together at Jason's home the previous night, and that Wade left with her afterward. Forensic teams confirmed Wade's DNA in Kristine's house and vehicle. His fingerprints matched several items left inside the stolen car. Meanwhile, Wade's own actions betrayed him. He called his father, confessing to the killings in a chilling, almost casual tone. His father immediately contacted authorities. Within 48 hours, Wade Wilson was arrested. He was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, grand theft auto, and several related offenses. During trial, prosecutors presented a detailed reconstruction of the timeline. Stephanie and Jason testified, confirming the events of that night and Kristine's last known moments. Forensic evidence supported every link: DNA, tire tracks, cell phone location data, and the confession Wade made to his father. The defense argued that Wade suffered from severe head trauma, impulsivity disorders, and substance abuse. But prosecutors countered with the deliberate nature of his actions. He strangled 2 women in the same manner, stole and cleaned the vehicle, tried to manipulate witnesses afterward. The jury took less than 4 hours to recommend the death penalty. The judge agreed. Wade Stephen Wilson was sentenced to death by lethal injection for the murders of Kristine Melton and Diane Ruiz. Even behind bars, Wade remained cold and detached, showing no remorse. Reports later revealed that he received letters and photographs from admirers, women fascinated by his appearance and notoriety, reflecting society's disturbing obsession with killers who display calm charisma. The tragedy of Wade Wilson's case is not just in the violence itself. It's in the pattern of warning signs ignored, the past assaults, the head injuries, the untreated behavior, the women who warned others but were never heard. This was the case of Wade Stephen Wilson. You're watching The Decode. We will meet again in another story. Until then, stay aware and stay safe.